I'm the last speaker, you're tired, you want to go home. I know that, that's the obstacle. But let me be brief. I'm going to be together with you for about like half an hour, 20, 25 minutes maybe. And first let me ask you, why are you here? You're here for a reason. You want to see every speaker, and you want to have an idea of what it would look like if you basically invite that speaker to your company, right? But to have that idea, you need to first know, what does this guy knows, and how does he tell you what he knows, right? That's all you want to know. And also you want to know who this guy is, because he may be telling some stories, but does he have the expertise to back things up? So first let me just tell you who I am. I'm Özgür Demirtaş. I'm a finance professor here in Turkey. I lived in the US for about 15 years, and I got back to Turkey for about 6 years ago. So I do have different, basically, jobs that I'm working on, not only as an academic. I'm an academic at Sabancı University as a chair. I am also a board member of a bank, and I do chief consultancy to some of the big corporations within the top 10 of Turkey. And I'm a keynote speaker, as you can see. And I do have some hobbies like everybody else. So, and the topics that I talk to is, ranging from macroeconomy and the financial markets, to cryptocurrencies, to blockchain, and to the new technology. So there is, I would just say, a wide breadth of talking topics that I am into. So today, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to give you bits and pieces of what I talk into. So today, it's not going to be a complete talk, but I'm going to be giving you a glimpse of what you could expect if I ever come to your company or to the place that you're in. Not only in Turkey, but also in the headquarters of your company. Now, first, so today, what am I going to talk about? Today, and in my talks in general, here is what I do. I talk about basically the trade wars. How will the trade wars basically between US and China evolve? By the way, this shouldn't be number one. Maybe there is a range problem in my slides. It's not supposed to be number one. I can see here the world economy, you see? But that does not show up in my slides. Okay? You may want to correct that. But if you can just see it here. First, I talk about the world economy, okay? Where do we head? Everybody here probably wonders about the economy, but do you really wonder about the US economy? Maybe yes. Are you wondering about the European economy? Maybe yes. Do you wonder about the Chinese economy? Maybe yes, maybe no. Do you wonder about the Turkish economy, or Azerbaijan's economy, or Qatar's, or oil countries? So my job, unfortunately, involves about knowing about all these economies, not just Turkey, because everybody is pretty much connected nowadays, right? So, and the second thing is the trade wars. How will the trade wars between US and China evolve? How can we benefit from those fierce trade war environment? It's not going to only hurt us. If you know how to benefit from those trade wars, you're going to get rich. Not only you will get rich, but your company will get rich as well. And then your money, what to invest in. I know that's why you're here right now, right? Okay. I may give you a couple, but what to invest in turbulent markets. And then the third is technology, or the fourth is technology. How fast the technology evolve. Automation, machine learning, artificial intelligence, what is to come? And how do I know what is to come, okay? And then biotechnology and artificial 3D printed organs. I'm saying wow because it's really a wow topic. They're going to print your organs in about 20 years. You're going to be artificially made up. And I'm not joking, I'm going to show you how. And then basically fintech, what is blockchain? Cryptocurrencies, and the future. And then, blah, 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 all the extras. So in my usual speeches, they last for 1.5 hours, I can talk about any one of these things. Okay? So now, first, it froze by the way. It's going to come momentarily, but let me just continue. So now I'm going to give you bits and pieces, glimpses, of what I say in my talks about each and every one of those topics. First, let me tell you where the world economy is going. I'm going to talk about US, I'm going to talk about China, I'm going to talk about emerging markets like Brazil, like Indonesia, like South Africa, like Turkey. And then I'm going to tell you how to read into numbers, okay? First, United States. United States is a $20.4 trillion economy. It's the number one economy right now. China will surpass US for sure. It may surpass in terms of the total GDP, but there's no way China will surpass United States in terms of GDP per capita. No way. And I can guarantee you that. If China will ever surpass the United States in terms of GDP per capita, come and tell me that I should stop doing this thing, okay? And I will obey. But there's no way. So United States is a $20 trillion economy. And can we maybe turn off these lights so they can see it better, okay? So this is a $20.4 trillion economy, as I just said. And only 1% of this economy is agriculture, 19% is industry, and the rest is service sector. How come an economy like United States, which doesn't have any industry whatsoever, it's just 19%, can be that strong? There's only one reason. They basically handle all the ropes of the financial system. If you ever want to send US dollars from point A to point B, even in Turkey, from a Turkish bank to another Turkish bank, it needs to obey the rules of the United States. That's not just, right? How can they do that? Because they're strong. That's why they can do that. If you are that strong, you'll be doing that. Okay? So, it's a big economy, as you can see. And on top of that, of course, they do have incredible military expenditure. Every single year, they spend $700 billion. And that's a formal number. The informal numbers, if you add on top of that, it's $1.5 trillion every single year. Every single year. So they spend 2 times what Turkey, and 80 million people in Turkey, produces every single year, working 365 days and 24 hours. Twice that amount they spend every single year to basically machinery and weaponry and war. That's why they're strong. But will they be that strong in about 30 years? No. But they're not going to be collapsing in a week or two. But in 20 years, US dollars will not be as strong as it is right now, and I'm going to tell you why. So this is the United States, and this is how much the President of the United States spent every single year. Every $100, $54 of every $100 he spends on military. Look at the red zone. Only 3% of what he spends is on science. But then you're going to tell me, Özgür, this is so little. How come they're so big in science and technology when they spend so little of their budget? Let me tell you this. First of all, 3% of the United States budget is more than our total budget. Okay? And second, that 3% is only coming from the government. Multiply it by 10, that comes from the industry. Okay? That's a huge amount. That's a huge amount. So this is the United States. What about China? China is also big. Chinese, basically, GDP is $11.2 trillion, and exports are $2.3 trillion. And whenever I talk about China, I talk about this discipline like this. So, in general, United States economy is the largest, is strong, is service economy. Chinese economy is also strong, but it depends on exports. Now, if you look at those numbers, it's so obvious that they're going to clash. And they're clashing right now. And that clash will be even deeper and deeper as we go to the future. And that crash tells us a new era and a new war. What's going to happen with that new war? And how is it going to affect you? Are you an export company? Are you an import company? Are you a manufacturing company? Are you in the service sector? It's going to basically affect you differently. Look, the topic of my talk may be the same for each and every one of those companies. But whenever I go to a company, I need to fill in different feeds depending on what the company does, right? Now, a new war and a new era. First, let me ask you this. Who thinks here that China will win the war? China and United States. Who thinks China will win that war? Okay, couple. Who thinks that United States will win that war? More. So let me tell you my opinion. In the short run, both of these countries will suffer from the trade wars. Both United States and China. Now, if it comes to the question who is going to win the war, in the short run, there's no way China can win this war. Now you're going to tell me, hocam Amerikancı mısın? No, I'm just a scientist, okay? And I don't like United States because they're like imperial country getting into the internal politics of every single country that they have nothing to do with. I agree with that. But I'm telling you with the numbers, in the short run, there's no way. In the long run, China can win. But they need to do some strategic stuff, okay? Now, why am I saying this? Here we go, details. Every talk that I give, if it's on macroeconomy, I love to dive into details. Not as much, only I give you the details that you can use in your daily life. This is how much China sells to the world. And here's what I did. I basically divided it into regions. The red region is how much China sells to Asia. The blue region is how much China sells to North America. And then the purple region is how much China sells to the Eurozone. And now you see the percentages. Out of $2.3 trillion of Chinese exports, 11% goes to Hong Kong. 6.6% goes to basically Japan. And 19% goes to the United States. Now, let's say it's 20%. What is 20% of $2.3 trillion? $460 billion. So it means that China sells $460 billion of goods every single year to the United States. Now, that was 2017 number. We do have the newest number right now. It's $500 billion. So China sells $500 billion of goods. United States sells $500 billion of, China sells $500 billion of goods to the United States. That's huge, right? But probably you're thinking like this. Özgür, what if United States doesn't buy anything from China? What happens? $2.3 trillion minus $500 billion is still $1.8 trillion. So probably you're thinking nothing will happen to China because China sells to other countries as well. Wrong. Wrong. Pretty wrong. If something sounds too simple to be true, it's probably not true, okay? It's probably not true because then otherwise, what are those scientists doing, right? Here's why it's wrong. China, whatever China sells to Hong Kong is being sold to the United States afterwards. Whatever China sells to Japan, half of it is being sold to the United States again. Whatever China sells to Germany as a cheap product, it becomes a car, a German car, and sold to the United States again. United States is the last buyer of anything and everything with meaningful, outstanding quantities. Okay? Other countries buy as well, but not as much as the United States. Now, here's another number for you. United States plus 7 friends of United States, 7 allies of United States, out of $2.3 trillion, they buy $1.3 trillion of Chinese goods. If they stop buying those goods only for a month, China will collapse. But the good thing is they're not going to stop buying because Americans love to live rich. What does the American life look like? Well, first, if you ever go to an Italian restaurant in the US, and most of you did probably, if you order a pasta, how big is the plate? That big. How are you going to eat that? You can't. That's the American style. What about the engine sizes of taxis in New York? 6,000 cc. What? It's a race car. Why do you need a race car engine in a taxi? That's the American way. What about in Midwest? People live in 8-bedroom houses. How many people live there? 2 person, okay? Husband and wife or partners. And then there are like 3 dogs and 5 cats and then 6 TVs and 3 refrigerators. Why did they have that many refrigerators or TVs? Because they're cheap. Why are they cheap? Because the components are done by poor Chinese. That is why United States cannot stop buying because they are used to that lifestyle. But if they have to, and if they do, end of China. China will be divided into parts because it's so difficult to manage a country like this. So anyhow, that is basically the detail of the trade wars. Now, what about this? United States, on the other hand, sells $150 billion to China. Why is that important? If it ever goes to sanctions, United States will win this. Why? Because whoever buys more can put more sanctions. Whoever put more sanctions will win the war. United States buys $500 billion, right? Right? And now United States sells, or China buys $150 billion. So if it goes to a sanction game, US can put sanctions to $500 billion of goods. China can put sanctions only to $150 billion of goods. So who's going to win at the end? 500 minus 150, $350 billion of more sanctions. So that will go for the benefit of the United States. But China is smart. They know that it's like a bullet game. US has 500 bullets because they buy that many, and China has 150 bullets. So China is clever in the sense that one of those bullets is the silver bullet. It's kind of like killing a vampire. So they put the gun and they try to basically put the bullet to the heart of the United States. How are they going to do that? Here is how. This is what US basically buys from China. Sells to China. US sells to China planes, helicopters, spacecraft, cars, integrated circuits. Are you surprised? No. US is a technological country. Of course, they're going to basically sell high-tech products. But hold on. What is the biggest amount of a product that United States sells to China? It's shown in yellow. Soybeans. Fasulye satıyorlar. United States sells soybeans to China. And that's biggest in terms of the amount. It's 11%.
But hold on, Özgür, why is that important? It is important because ask yourself, who produced those soybeans in the United States? Let me tell you, the people who live in mid-United States, which we call rednecks, they're right-wing people, pretty uneducated, and they are Trump voters. They vote for Donald Trump. So China says this, if you ever come to me with sanctions, I'm not going to buy those soybeans from you. If I don't buy soybeans from you, those farmers will be poor. And if they're poor, they're not going to vote for you by November 2020, right? So that is why those wars will take at a slow pace for some time. But afterwards, after 2020 November, if Donald Trump wins the election, if he wins, and there's a chance that he could do that, if he wins the election, after he wins the election, will he ever care about those farmers? No. But what happens, because that's his last term, he can't run again. But what about the other Republican candidate who's going to run in 2024? He doesn't care about Republicans. He's not a Republican. He's not a Democrat. He's just a TV showman. Happens to have a rich dad, right? That's it. That's it. So if he wins the election, he's not going to care about those soybean producers, and he's going to push hard in terms of the trade wars. So get ready. What are you going to do? What should your company do in terms of those trade wars? Well, the answer is in my talk, of course, but that's like a glimpse, as I told you. It basically depends on what kind of company you are. But the idea is this. Whatever products are being sanctioned, and I can tell you where you can find that information, you need to be in that business. Or if you're in that business, you need to basically play the game accordingly, okay? For example, this is China's exports to the U.S. China sells all these goods, right? If United States basically stop buying some of the goods, maybe you should be in sweater business, right? Knit sweaters. Here we go. Oh, by the way, that knit sweaters, 1.2%, probably that 1.2% is like 50% of our total exports, right? That's big. That's huge. That can make a big company or that can kill a company. Now, let me continue. What about emerging markets? Now, Turkey is one of them. Now, these are called Fragile Five. India, South Africa, Indonesia, Brazil, and Turkey. Look at this. Between May 2013 and August 2018, India's currency lost 17% of its value. South Africa, 48%. Indonesian rupee, and then 48%. Brazilian real is 90%. Turkish lira, 253%. 253%. And those of you who probably watched some of my TV shows back like 6 years ago, I had been warning everybody. US dollars was around 1.9. I was basically warning people it's going to go up. And then it was like dollar Turkish lira was around 2.2. I was warning people it's going to go up. And then it was 2.7. I was warning people it's going to go up. And then it was 3.2. I was warning people it's going to go up. And then it was 3.5. I was on a TV show and the guy was basically, saying, I'm going to sell 10 billion, 10 billion. And then I was saying, no, it's not going to work. It's going to go up. And indeed, I never thought they were going to do something like that. They sold the reserves. Still, it went up. It was 4.5. I said it's going to go up. It was 5. I said it's going to go up. And it went up. And just recently, it shot 7, and it came back to 5.7. And I think a newspaper called Sabah just recently said, oh, Özgür, Professor Demirtaş was very pessimistic about Turkish lira, but you see, he's wrong. Are you kidding me? I was saying it was going to go up since 1.9. Who are you lying to? And sometimes, okay, if they ever call me, I think I need to give them a speech of how to be, you know, a just and an honest newspaper guy so that people will not ridicule your comments and stuff. Anyhow, so as you can see, 253%, right? So then the reason, so first you're going to ask yourself, every one of these countries' currencies lost value, right, against US dollars. But Turkish lira lost the most. There's got to be a reason. Why did Turkish lira lose more value than the others? Right? Because of dış mihraklar. No, hold on. I'm a scientist. I cannot object that thing. Could be dış mihraklar. Could be those evil foreign powers. Mini. We want to kill the Turks. Not like the Germans, not like the British, but the Turks. Specifically the Turks. Not like the Azerbaijan guys, not like Qatar guys, but the Turks. Just the Turks. Could be. But here's what we're going to do. Remember, we're all Turks, and we're used to the testing system, right? Whenever you don't know the answer of a question, first, you need to eliminate the ones which could not be the answer. And the remaining would be the correct answer, right? So I promise you, If I cannot find the reason why Turkish lira lose more value than the others, I promise you I'm going to tell you it's because of dış mihraklar. But if I ever find the reasons of that loss in a logical way, I'm sorry to tell you that that's not dış mihraklar. Okay, that's not the foreign evil powers. Here we go. Why did those countries lose, those countries' currencies lose value? Easy. Every one of these countries need US dollars. Why do they need US dollars? Because they have current account deficit. How can they find US dollars? There are 5 different ways of finding US dollars. First, the first and the brilliant way, foreign direct investment. If I call this the cold money, if there is law and order in a country, if institutions are independent, if education system is excellent, if the power is not collected to one person, but rather to a number of people, then there's going to be foreign direct investment. Then a German, then an Arab, then a Kurd, then an American, then a British will come to your country, will basically invest in your country, right? Will basically bring his or her dollars, and he's going to probably build a factory, will bring his own engineers, and will basically hire your engineers and bring the know-how, and probably that US dollars that person basically brought to Turkey will not get out of the country for the next 10 years. That's the best way of finding US dollars. But let's say, you don't want to be transparent, you don't want to distribute the power, you want to be the most powerful. Let's say you don't want to have the law and order, then foreign direct investment will not come. But don't worry, there's another way of finding US dollars. The second way of finding US dollars is increase the interest rates. If you do, even the people who hate you, even the people who hate your country will bring their US dollars to you. Why? Just because you look good? Just because Turks have, like, black eyes and a nice face? Absolutely not. They're going to bring their money to earn more money. But if you increase, basically, the interest rate, yes, you're going to get the US dollars and cover your current account deficit, but interest rate increasing will kill your sectors, like your internal sectors, like basically the construction sector. So let's say you don't want to do that. The third way of finding US dollars is borrow US dollars. But what if you have no space to borrow US dollars? Then the fourth way of basically finding US dollars is exports. Do some local goods, sell those goods, get the US dollars from those people, right? But guess what? In order for Turkey to export some goods, first we need to import. Whenever they tell you we export $150 billion of goods, out of that $150 billion, $140 billion is imported first. So it's only net of 10 billion, nothing. 10 billion, what is that? If you ever invested, to Bitcoin 5 years ago, you have $10 billion, okay? Nothing. So it's not gonna work out. So then, if you don't want to have the law and order and distribute the power, you cannot get basically foreign direct investment. You can't find the US dollar that way. You cannot find the US dollar by increasing the rates because you don't want to. You cannot find US dollars by borrowing more US dollars because you have no space to do so. You cannot basically find US dollars because exporting also involves importing. Then the fifth way of finding US dollars is calling your grandparents. Özgür hocam, what does my grandparents have to do with Turkey finding US dollars and financing its current account deficit? Here is what is the link. What do old people do when they age? They put their last money in a plastic bag, or basically they cover it with newspapers, and then they put it under the bed, right? Or under in a chest. What is that money? What is that money? Kefen parası. We only have that wording in Turkish, right? Okay. So, kefen parası. Great. So your last resort is calling your grandparents and ask for that kefen parası, okay? Okay. The foreign exchange reserves of a central bank of a country is the kefen parası of that country. And as a last resort, you can use that. And if you're using that, that's the last resort. If it's the last resort, you can use that. If you're using that, that's the last resort, okay? So both ways. If and only if. If and only if. Great. So here's what I'm going to look at. 5 countries. All are called fragile 5. All currencies lost value, but Turkish lira did more. I'm asking for a reason. So first, I'm going to basically look at the kefen parası, foreign exchange reserves of these countries. What was it 5 years ago? What happened now? And then I'm going to basically look at the inflation rates. What was it then? What is it now? And then I'm going to look at the current account deficit amount. What was it then? What is it now? And if there's a huge difference between Turkey and the others, I found the reason. If I cannot find the reason, then I'm going to call it the evil powers. Okay? Easy, like very scientific. Here we go. Look at the inflation. India, decrease the inflation. South Africa, decrease the inflation. Indonesia, decrease the inflation. Brazil, decrease the inflation. Turkey, increase the inflation to 15.9 by July of last year. And then by August, it was 17.9. By September, it was 24.3. By October, it was 25.4. So the only country who couldn't decrease the inflation and indeed increase the inflation is Turkey. Current account deficit. India decreased that. South Africa decreased that. Indonesia, Brazil decreased that. Turkey increased the current account deficit. And then kefen parası, foreign exchange reserve of central banks of each one of the countries. Look at this. India increased that from $298 billion to 412. South Africa increased. Indonesia increased. Brazil increased. Turkey, by July of last year, it was basically, they decreased it from $131 billion to $105 billion. And then by August, it was $98 billion. And then in September, it was 92. By October, it was 91. By November, it was 82. And then by December end of 2018, we only had $79 billion left in the central bank. And then guess what? Right at the 31st of December, you had a call. Who is calling? Your grandparents. Yes, Grandpa? What is that? Özgür, yeah. You know that kefen parası that I had? Yes. What happened to that? Özgür, unfortunately, some of it was debt. Unfortunately, that's not all equity. Only 20% of it is mine. Guess what? $79 billion was only the gross reserves. The net reserves were only $29 billion. Bingo. In all three cases, Turkey was the worst. Of course, Turkish lira will lose more than the others, and not the others. Check mark. Not the evil powers. Oh, I'm not saying there are no evil powers. There are evil powers for everybody. For everybody. But they cancel out. Like high school year 1, the second week of math class. Greece. Let's say Greece is our evil power. And we are the evil power for Greece. There's Turkey, there's Greece, and the minus evil powers. Turkey, net Turkey is Turkey minus Greek evil power. And then net Greece is Greece minus Turkish evil power. The evil powers cancel out, Turkey and Greece is left. So they cancel out. You don't need to talk about that. Very good. So let's continue. So this is the emerging markets. But do I only talk about like these emerging markets? I can talk about any country that you wish, because all the numbers are recorded here. Unfortunately, I have the photographic memory. So I not only talk about Turkey, I talk about basically United States. I talk about European economy, Germany, Italy. What's going to happen to the European economy? And then Turkey, and then Azerbaijan, and then Qatar, Russia, Dubai, everything you can think of. And then this is basically the emerging markets by 1987. Only 6 countries were counted as emerging markets. And this is what it is now. This is by 2019. You're going to tell me, Özgür, what about those African countries? Are they emerging markets? No, but they're frontier. This is emerging and frontier. This is where the world is going. Now, you're quite depressed. Now, I'm going to tell you some good stories. Even though within 3 years, if you look at the economy within 3 years, you will always be depressed. Why? Within 3 years, you're going to be up and down. And now you're going to be boom, recessions, boom, recession. If you're in a recession like this, you're going to be upset. But if you're in the boom within the 3-year period, you will still be upset. Why? Because you're at the very top. If you're at the very top, what does that mean? It means that, like, 5 months later, you're going down. Right, guys? So that's why if you have a short window of evaluation, you will always be depressed. You will either be depressed because you're in the recession, or you'll be depressed because you're going to get into the recession. Now, just step back and look at it in 20, 25, 45 years apart. Now I'm going to show you some pictures. Pictures of some cities taken from the same spot, but there's a 25-year difference between those photographs. Let's see where the world is going. If you look at it this way, you're going to feel the optimism, and I want you to feel that. Long run, you should always be optimistic. Short run, you should always be careful. You should always take things with a grain of salt. Here we go. First, 25 years ago, Shanghai. And this is Shanghai, and now I'm going to show you the same city today. Here we go. 25 years ago, today. 25 years ago, today. 25 years ago, today. And here we go. 25 years ago, Dubai. I see some people are laughing because you have been to Dubai recently, probably. I was there for about like a month ago. And it's different than that. It quite changed. And here we go, Dubai today. Oh, by the way, this is the same street. You see the street? They bent it a little bit. It became this. You see? It's the same thing. So, 25 years ago, today. 25 years ago, today. Here we go. Abu Dhabi. 45 years ago, today. 45 years ago, today. Here we go. 100 years ago, South Korea, and today, South Korea. Probably you're going to tell me, Özgür, look, South Korea has these roads, like big roads, right? Like big roads. And then, look at this, a big airport, the biggest airport. And then look, there are bridges here. You see, Özgür? You see? They have the big roads and the big airports and the big bridges. That's why they're rich. No, it goes the other way around. They're not rich because they have the airport. They have the airport because they're rich. It's kind of like it's raining outside and you carry an umbrella, right? And then if a person is uneducated about logic, that's like high school year 2, third week, the logic class, okay? The logic class. So if you look outside, whenever there's a rain, people carry an umbrella. Can I just say it rains because people carry an umbrella? No. People carry an umbrella because it rains. It's the other way around, okay? So similarly, somebody else looked like a minimum wage guy. Minimum wage guy looks at the richest people in Turkey. Richest like males, okay? Who are they? 3 Ali's. Ali Koç, Ali Sabancı, Ali Ağaoğlu. And then this minimum wage guy basically look to every one of them. Everyone is using iPhone X. And then he says, he's a bit uneducated. Oh, by the way, I'm so sorry. It's not a problem to be uneducated. I have a lot of people in my family that are uneducated. The problem is not being uneducated. The problem is not knowing that you are uneducated. They're different. They're different. So, this minimum wage guy looks at the richest guy in Turkey. Ali Koç is using iPhone X. Ali Sabancı, iPhone X. Ali Ağaoğlu, iPhone X. And then he says, look, they're rich because they're using an iPhone X. Correlation is not causation. And then what does he say? He goes and buys an iPhone X with his minimum wage. And then he waits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's not Ali Koç yet. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He's not Ali Sabancı yet. 15 seconds later, he's not even Ali Ağaoğlu. He's not even a minimum wage guy anymore. He is minimum wage minus iPhone type of a guy. Minimum wage guys are richer than him. Because he basically confused correlation with causation. Okay? So, similarly, somebody else goes to those rich countries and see all these buildings and the bridges and the airports, and he says, look, you see, they're rich because they have the airport. But it's the other way around, okay? So, I think, it's the same logic with the companies. The companies should save money whenever it's needed and should spend money whenever it's needed. I mean, the biggest problem, and the top 10 companies in Turkey, for example, that I'm a chief consultant to, the biggest problem is they save in the wrong places and they spend in the wrong places. Even arranging that 1% would make the company 5% bigger because the multiplier is around 5. The beta is around 5, okay? So let's continue. 1945 Tokyo, today's Tokyo. And then Shenzhen, China, today's China. And now I'm going to ask you, how fast the technology evolves. From now on, there's going to be music coming in. Is that okay? Is it okay? Because in my speeches, I also talk about the technology. Till now, I talk about the economy. I talk about the head points, like the headlines of my talk. And then I fill in the blanks in my talk and tell you what to do in each case and how to know each case will appear in the future. Now the technology part. And there's going to be a music coming in. First, let me just tell you this. What is this? Turn down a little bit. This is basically the biggest innovations of humankind since 1400. Look at this. Human being found the printing press in 1400. And for 200 years, there is basically no slope of that line. Our grand ancestors basically lay down and sleep through the ages for 200 years, nothing. And then 1600, there's a telescope. Then steam engine, telegraph, light bulb, telephone, car, man on the moon, microprocessors, cell phones, and first 3D chip. Now, please stop looking here. First, look here. Look at this. For all these years, people thought that line will be horizontal. It is not. In 1857, we basically established the induction motor. Once we found the induction motor, then everything started becoming an exponential curve, right? Please do not forget that curve. That curve will change your life, and I'm going to show you how. I'm going to ask you a simple question. Can I get a piece of paper? No, I can get this napkin. Look at this napkin. Now, let's say that this napkin basically is 1 centimeter thick, okay? The napkin is 1 centimeter thick. Let me show you. If it's 1 centimeter thick and if I fold it one time, how thick will that be? 2 centimeters. If I fold it one more time, how thick will that be? 4. If I fold it one more time, how thick will that be? 8, and then 16, and then 32, and then 64. If it was 1 millimeter, now it's 64 millimeters. Does it get thick when I fold it? Yes or no? Yes, it got thick. I fold it 6 times. It basically fits to my palm. Now I'm going to ask you a simple question. How many times do I need to fold this in order for the thickness of this to reach from this level to the moon? How many times do I need to fold it? Just make up some numbers. Engineers, you do not talk, okay? Okay? People who are not engineers, just tell them, oh, by the way, engineers should not brag about this. They memorize this, okay? Nobody knows. I'm an engineer by education. I'm an electrical engineer. They made us memorize these kind of operations. Not that our brains work like that. Nobody's brains work like that. Let me ask you, how many times do I need to fold it? Only 42. Not a million, not a billion. Only 42. How come, Özgür? If you fold it once, it's 2 centimeters. 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512, 1024. If you fold the paper for 10 times, it's 1,000 centimeters. It's 10 meters thick. If you fold it 10 times, it's 10 meters thick. Does it mean if you fold it 20 times, it's going to be 20 meters thick? No. It's exponential. It's not linear. If you fold the paper only 10 times, it's 1,000 centimeters. If you fold it 11 times, 1,000 centimeters over 1,000 centimeters is 2,000, 4,000, 8,000, 16,000, 32, 64, 128,000, 256,000, 512,000, 1 million centimeters. If you fold the paper 20 times, it's 1 million centimeters. That's 10 kilometers. If you fold it 21 times, 10 kilometers over 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers, 40 kilometers, 80 kilometers, 160 kilometers, 320 kilometers, 640 kilometers, 1280 kilometers. If you fold the paper only 21 times, you're going to be higher than Mount Everest. If you fold the paper only 41 times, it's going to be like this picture. You're going to be in between the Earth and the Moon. And if you fold it one more time on top of itself, you're going to be surpassing the Moon. If you fold it 50 times, it's going to be Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Pluto. You're going to be outside of the solar system. If you fold it only 60 times, you're going to be outside our Milky Way galaxy, and you're going to be reaching Andromeda galaxy. And if you fold it only 150 times, you're going to be reaching the borders of our theoretical universe. What happened? I held a paper, and I asked you, if I fold it, will it get thick? Everybody in this room understood that it's going to get thick. But then I asked you another question. How fast will it get thick? That part we failed. Our brains can feel that it's going to get thick, but our brains cannot feel how fast it's going to get thick. If I ask you here, do you think the technology evolves fast? Everybody will raise their hand. Yes, Özgür, it evolves fast. Now I'm asking the second question. How fast? How fast makes things very differently. When I fold the paper only 6 times, it was fitting to my palm. If I fold it 10 more times, I was outside of the atmosphere. The next 6 times is not the same as the first 6 times. And that graph shows you that. That graph shows you that. But what is happening? From now on, I would just ask you not to take any pictures or record anything, because I bring you some outstanding pictures by getting some promises from a company in the United States. From now on, I'm going to show you some slides. There is not a single slide that's not right. That's not correct. There is not a single slide that's under production. Everything I'm going to show you from now on is already real. Everything I show you from now on is already real. Everything I show you from now on is already real. And I leave you with your imagination if those things are real, as of now as I make the speech. What comes during the next fold? Let me show you what it is. It's a contact lens, engineered by MIT. It's connected to every type of machinery in your factory. It tells how fast the machine works. It tells how many workers are on the machine. It tells you when the machine will stop working. It tells you what will be the penalty that you need to pay just because you're going to ship your products a bit late because of the machinery failure. Everything is in your eye, and it works. Here we go. This is an electric, basically, sticker. This electronic sticker is basically sticks to your body and measures your blood pressure, your blood sugar, your cholesterol, and the numbers can be basically communicated to a machine, and they're gonna predict whether you're gonna heart attack during the next 3 hours or not. It works. Constructed at MIT again. Here we go. These little red things are red cells. The machinery, even smaller than red blood cells, are a product of nanotechnology. They're called nanobots. They were able to create those nanobots that can be injected to your bloodstream. That's real. Now let's go back to a human being, Homo sapiens. What does a Homo sapiens look like? Like me, a simple animal. 2 arms, 2 legs, organs in between, and a little nervous system, right? Let's start by the hands, okay? You can turn up the volume around 17%, please. Let's start with the arms. Let's start with the arms. Here we go. This guy, poor guy, poor guy. He lost 2 of his arms 40 years ago. Life is hard for him. Life is hard for him. 40 years ago, both arms are lost. What are we gonna do to him? How can we help him? Can we put 2 robotic arms to his shoulders? In other words, can we make this guy a bionic guy? Can we do that? Can we do that? Özgür, what kind of arms we're gonna put on his shoulders? Like this. But Özgür, if we put those arms to his shoulders, how can the signals from his brain can be communicated to those arms? Can this be the case? Could they do something like this? This is incredible. Could they have achieved something like this? Achieved something like this? They could, and they did. So arms, check mark. Now comes the legs. This guy is a professor at MIT. He is called Professor Hooker. He lost both of his legs, not below the knee line, but above the knee line. He did not accept his fate. He fights with his fate. That's the difference between Eastern and Western civilizations. I'm not saying Western civilizations are good, but both civilizations need to borrow some things from each other. And if there's only one thing, if I only have one right to borrow from the Western civilization, that would be not accepting the fate. And if they have one thing that they should borrow from us, it should be the human heart. The combination is very powerful. But put them alone, they will be just robots and will kill each other. Put them together, nourish as human beings. This guy did not stop. He came up with new legs with 2 processors each. But there was a lag between the signals from his brain and his legs' movements. Then he worked harder on this. 6 processors. This is how he looks like right now. And he can run a 100 meters race with those legs. So, arms, check mark. Legs, check mark. Now comes the organs. Özgür, come on. What are they gonna do with the organs? What are they gonna do with the organs? In Stockholm, there was a patient with a throat cancer. They got only 1 cell from the lab. In a lab environment, they grow those cells to become a new throat. The new throat was being established by the own cells of the guy. Hence, whenever it's being put to the body of that guy, there would be no problems of the body rejecting the part. The cancer throat has been cut out. The new one is 3D printed and put inside. And the guy lives. Please raise hand if you want to see what was next. Okay, everybody, what about you? Okay. This is what they did next. They 3D printed a human heart by just using 1 cell. It beats only 50 per minute. It needs to beat up to 80 per minute in order for it to be transplanted to a human being, and the human being will live. But if you understand anything from Özgür Demirtaş's presentation, I'm asking you. If not now, in 10 years. If not 10 years, in 20 years. If not 20 years, in 30 years. Will that be real? Yes or no? Period. No question. No doubt. Hands, arms, check mark. Legs, check mark. Organs in between. In a theater near you. Sue. In a theater near you, Sue. Now comes the hardest part. The brain and the nervous system. If you break the backbone of a human being, the bottom part of the human being will have a seizure. That human being cannot use the bottom part. Period. No doctor, no surgery, no prayer, nothing. Every type of prayer. You can pray in every religion. Nothing will work. No way. If you break the backbone, gone. If you break the backbone, gone. Why? Because, you know, your neurological cells are being built when you are in the tomb of your mother. Once you get out, the process is done. You can't get back. There is no solution. There is no solution. There is no solution. There was no solution. But now there is. They got a mice. He had a seizure. They basically devised an electric circuit. And using a surgery, they put that circuit on the back of the mouse. And they check whether the brain signals can be transmitted to the real legs and the tail. Could that be? Could that be the case? Would that be a miracle? Yes, the miracle was right. Last 5 to 6 slides. Now comes the good part. Probably you're gonna tell me, Özgür, that's simple because they put an electric circuit on the back. But are we gonna live with the electric circuits? And probably it's not gonna work. Look, there's these devices. Am I gonna walk with the devices all the time? It's not like old me. What if I tell you? What if I tell you that there is a company? And that company, you have the human cell, and there's a nucleus of the cell. What if I tell you that a company broke the code, the biological code of the nucleus of a human cell? What if I tell you that? What if I tell you that? Probably you're gonna tell me back that that guy will be the richest man on earth. Not for now, but for the past century. If I tell you that, you're gonna tell me that the owner of that company is the richest man or will be the richest man on earth ever lived. Now I'm telling you that. By the way, I'm so sorry. When I said I'm a professor, I'm a board member of a bank, I'm a consultant, I do give keynote speeches, I do establish a finance center. I'm also an angel investor. I invest to private companies. Public companies, of course I do invest by using the stock market and everything, but I do invest to private companies when the companies are pretty young. Of course, to do that, I need to do tons of reading, and to do that, I should not sleep. So, around 4 years ago, or 4.5 years ago, I was scrolling through Royal Academy of Medicine, and I saw a company, a biotechnology company. I read what they claimed. I laughed at it. I said, come on, it's not real. It's not real. They're trying to find some investors, I said. And I said, I'm gonna read this later. 1 year later, I read again. 4 more news about the same company. This time I believed them. But unfortunately, I was so slow in acting. I was busy with, university students, my doctoral students, my research papers, and then my wife, of course, my wife, and then consulting, whatever. So I was late. 2.5 years passed. Again, this time, the owner of the company was in the cover of the Forbes magazine, the international Forbes, and it was saying, the man who is closing in on the God's pill. Allah'ın ilacına yaklaşan adam. Böyle söyleyince daha iyi. The man who is getting close to the God pill. I said, I need to do something. And by the way, I'm a little crazy, as you can see. I may see extrovert, but I'm a very introvert person. Don't look that I'm talking like this. I'm very introvert and I'm a nerd. I'm a big time nerd. And I think you think that I have Asperger's syndrome. Yes, yes. But I have the Asperger's syndrome, but I am forcing myself to be social. Am I good at it? I don't know. Yes. But I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd. I love numbers. I love figures, numbers, and charts. And whenever I see something like this, I usually fly there with my own money, and I just want to see it happening. I want to see that happening. But this time, I didn't know the guy. How am I going to fly there? Somebody need to connect me. I went to one of the families in Turkey, one of the top 2 families in Turkey. They like me, not because I have good eyes or something. My eyes are not good, but just because I am freakingly hardworking. So I asked them. So I have some credit with them. I asked them, do you know this guy? Or do you know anybody who knows him? She said, I know him. I know somebody who knows him, in other words. Okay, I want to go there. Connected me. I went to San Diego 2.5 years ago. I met with the guy. Very humble guy. Great guy. Unbelievable guy. And then, he took me to the laboratory. He understood that I'm a nerd. He's a nerd as well. Nerdish friends. And then he said, come, I'm going to show you. And I was like sweating. Like the first date, okay? And you sit in the lab. Oh my God. I didn't have anything in mind like investing, but since I'm an angel investor, after our first meeting, I went to the mansion that they're hosting me, and I slept there. And I wake up in San Diego, and then I said, I need to invest. I need to invest. And I invest. I sold one of my houses here. Can the company go bankrupt? Of course. Am I going to be upset? Absolutely not. Instead of bankrupting my money in a 3-bedroom that I bought from an architecture, right? Maketten sattıkları evde batıracağıma. I bankrupt my money in the best visionary biotechnology project ever. So I love the company. Some of my other investments bring me a lot of returns. This one haven't yet. It may go down to 0, but it may still go up 100 times. But guess what? The first time I see the company, it was $35 million worth. The second time I see the company, it was $450 million worth. When I invested in the company, it was $12 billion worth. Right now, it's $15.5 billion worth. Not a single dollar of income the company has. But be careful. If they only have one medicine approved by FDA, phase 3, the company will be worth, hold tight, $190 billion. If only 2 medicines are approved, the company will be worth $220 billion. If 3 medicines are being on the basically market, then the company will be worth $450 billion. And if all the projects, there are 9 projects that they're working in, all of them becomes a medicine in the market, and I did the valuation. The ceiling valuation of the company is $5 trillion. The owner of the company still holds 35% of the company, and he's not going to sell even one of his shares from now on. They don't need the money. The profit margin, 99.2%. I have the good news. First, let me show you the results. I took these things by permission. Please do not take any pictures. And here are the results. Here we go. Degenerative disc disease. The left one is, these are all mice, all mouse, okay? Look at a healthy mice with a backbone. Look at this. Ruptured. Nothing. This animal has a seizure, cannot walk. Only 1 injection. 8 weeks later, the backbone is coming back. Like the human is 18 years old. Here we go. This is a tendon. The tendon is healthy. This is a ruptured tendon. If a soccer player break the tendon, what's gonna happen? It's like a horse to be shot. Shut the soccer player. Why? He cannot walk anymore, right? And there's no solution. Here we go. DNA changing lotion. 3 weeks later, the tendon comes back. Here we go. This is the colon cancer mice, okay? The animal only has 6 weeks of life. 2 per day. 4 weeks later, the cancer is gone. Here we go. This is a brain of a healthy mice. This is a mice with Alzheimer's disease. And then 2 doses every day. 5 weeks later, the Alzheimer is gone. Here we go. These reds are eye cells that makes you see. The one in the middle is a blind mice. 1 injection in the eye. Here we go. The red cells come back. Here we go. This thing is a liver. A fatty liver, right? Only has 2 months to live for this animal. They gave them basically twice a day oral pills. 5 weeks later, healthy liver comes back. And now comes the best part. Now comes the best part. Now comes the best part. They take the mouse. By surgery, they cut the back of the mouse. They take a razor. They make the backbone a bit thinner. And then they drop weights on the back of the thin backbone. They break the backbone of the mice. Every one of the animals have a seizure. And then they inject with a small molecule injection. Those small molecules gets into the system, gets into the backbone, gets into the neural cells. They are within the cell. They get into the nucleus of the cell. In the nucleus of the cell, you have your DNA. And then those small molecules tells your DNA to be again. Be again. Be again. Like you are born again. Be again. Too good to be true? Too good to be true? I knew that. I told him, you know Turks. Turks don't believe if they don't see. Can I get the video? He said, yes. I brought you the video. He's right after the surgery. Seizure. Cannot use the legs, cannot use the tail. The right one got only one shot. Healthy. The tail is up, can walk. Unbelievable. This one cannot walk. This one can walk. This is a miracle. Day 6. Only 6 days after injection. The animal can walk. The animal can walk. Here we go. 45 later, 6 days later, still has a seizure. 6 days later, the one with the one shot is completely healthy. And look at this, can raise over the back legs. Unbelievable. 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 If only one medicine goes to public, it's going to be $190 billion. 2 medicine, $220 billion. 3 to 4 medicine, $450 billion. If all 9 projects becomes live, it's going to be $5 trillion company. He's going to be the richest. He's going to be the richest of Turkey. Richest of the summation of the top 100. Probably richest of the world and the United States. He is already the richest of San Diego. I have one good news I'm going to give you in 3 minutes and I'm going to end up. Look at this. 100 years old, teenagers are coming. And what should your company do with that? And then machinery is coming. Look at those robots. Boston Dynamics robots are using machine learning. They know which leg to separate to which angle, to which side in order not to drop dead. Here we go. I'm not joking. These are real. And this one is even better. This is basically using artificial intelligence. The artificial intelligence works like this. It basically measures the height of everything that it's going to jump to. Look at this. So precise. Incredibly precise. And then now look. This is 65 centimeters. And then now it's turning back. Very precise. And now be careful. And now be careful. Here we go. Here we go. Who can do that? And now with a slow motion. And now with a slow motion. Made in USA. Do you think the United States is building, I don't want to say building robots. You know, the machinery means nothing. Götür kaportacıya, they do it. The most important thing is not the drones or the hardware of the drones. It's the software in there. And the smartest can write the software. Doesn't matter whether your drone looks better or colors look better. What matters is the software. Do you think the United States is building those softwares just because they're going to use those robots as a waitress or waiter in a restaurant or as a soldier? These are the future soldiers. And I'm not joking, and this is already real. This is all we see. But they were working on this 10 years ago. Right now, the technology is probably 5 years ahead of what I'm showing you. But now comes the best part. Now turn off this music. Let's switch to another good one that I told you. And I only have 3 slides left, and I'm gonna uplift you so that you feel good.
The music that you're going to listen to, and we're in similar age groups. When we were young, there was a movie called with the planes and with a handsome gun, Top Gun. The good news, probably you heard, a new one is coming by 2020 summer, like a year from now. And Tom Cruise is playing. He still looks the same. Did I tell you that he's also a shareholder? No. Probably, I don't know. The music is coming? Okay. So now I wanted to finish everything with a Top Gun anthem. That's like the main soundtrack of Top Gun, and probably they're going to be using the same basically soundtrack. And now it's going to come, and I'm going to show you a picture of me with somebody else. That's it, 2 pictures of me with somebody else. And you're going to understand the reason why I'm showing this. I was basically talking about, that's called Top Gun Anthem, okay? You can basically open it from Spotify. Yeah, and I can share my Spotify if you have, I have the family plan. Yeah, I don't get any ads from Spotify, don't get me wrong, okay? I just like the software, so, is it coming? Or, oh. Turn down a little bit. Here's the good news. The company, which was $35 million, when I first saw and did not believe. The company who was $450 million worth, when I saw for the second time and believed, but late in action. The company which was $12 billion worth, when I go and invested and I met with the guy. The company which is $15.5 million. And let's not record it now. Okay. Just to give you some, yeah. 17%. Let's just turn up the volume for 17%. Biraz açalım. The owner of that company is a Turk. Abi. That is called nationalism, you know? That version of nationalism is so cool, so powerful. Just by himself, if he names the street that he was playing as a kid in Izmir, if he names the street after his grandfather, with that money, Turkey can finance the current account deficit. That's called nationalism. Not this, or not this, or not this, or not this. That's called nationalism. And it's just by pure coincidence, he never comes to Turkey. Come on, yes. You need to have the repeat mode, and there's on the right-hand side, at the bottom, there's like a line. Okay, good, it's coming. Now we can turn up the volume. Just by pure luck, he never comes to Turkey, but I was with him, he was here, he never let people know. He was in Izmir just to give a speech, but then he doesn't speak to anybody. We were together. This is the guy who may be the richest man on earth, if it ever becomes a reality. Even if he doesn't, I cannot tell you enough how great of a man that guy is. He is humble. He smiles all the time. No egos whatsoever. He's a nerd. He's an introvert. He's a cool guy. He's a great guy. And I cannot tell you the pleasure that I get when I talk science with him. I never talk business with him. I never talk business with him. And I don't care whether the company fails or not. But if it does not fail, let me tell you how big that is. It's big, not only in monetary wise, but in health wise. Think about your moms and your dads. Every one of you has that fear, right? They're gonna die. When I look at the audience right now, probably some of you lost your parents, and the others who did not lose their parents, you're so afraid of the time that you're gonna do. And the things, unfortunately, I can't tell you what he told me. The reason of our smile is completely something else. Don't think that we're so happy seeing each other. That too, probably, but there's a reason, because he told me something, which I can communicate with you by saying,
you can decrease the fear of losing your parents. Maybe 17%. Most probably we're gonna die. But even if I tell you the probability of we dying decreased by 1%, they found the way of not anti-aging, but de-aging. De-aging means going back, not stopping. All your creams that you put on your face, they try to stop. I'm not talking about stopping. I'm talking about a new company. He's not getting any investors. Except me. No. But he's a proud of Turkey. This thing will be good. Please do not forget this example of mine. Please do not forget this graph. The graph already bent towards vertical. And things would be first bad, and then good, and then very good. Thank you for listening.